What's up, guys? My name is Joey Diehl, and I am currently the front of house engineer for Benson Boone, and I'm here sitting with Third Ear monitors to talk about some stuff. So the version of speakers that I'm using for Third Ear are the AT26s. They are a dual 6-inch with a high driver. They're amazing. I use them for a lot of programming, for rehearsals, for show, obviously. Not their largest format, not their smallest format, but right in the middle, and it's perfect for me. I happened on this randomly. I literally was at the Claire shop hanging out. We have the whole schedule for the year coming up, and I was talking about what I want to do, and I have a bunch of different styles of monitoring, and because I knew I was going to do this, but I didn't know how I was going to do it. Scooter over at Claire was like, hey, you should try these things out. And I literally was like, never heard of that in my life. Why would I do that? He got me a demo pair and I took him home. And I don't think I've told anybody this, but I just watched TV on them for a couple days. Well, and my thought was, I'm not going to sit here and listen to hours of music in my living room. That's weird. So I plugged into my TV and I just watched TV. And I think I binged 2 seasons of a show, like just listening, existing through these speakers. And every now and then I throw on a song and I was like, oh yeah, this is sick. I knew I wanted to take them. I knew I wanted to take these until I got to rehearsals, and within the first day, the 30, 40 minutes in the music, and I was like, oh damn, this is crazy. I had never heard of him before. I'd barely met Chris. I'd barely had done anything like that. And I've literally only met him a couple times even since then, and it's like, it's how wild it is to believe in a product so unbelievably fast and kind of just be bought in immediately. It's a little weird. It's a little cultish. Cult? Yeah, a little cult? We're doing cult? Cult? All right, sorry. Sorry. Because Scooter was like, go home, listen to every song you've ever heard. And I was like, I can't do that. What did I hear about them that made me different? It's funny, I don't think it's what I heard about them. Like I said, I really didn't know much about them. I think it's when I finally got to dive in. I have favorite monitors already. I have ones that I use a bunch, all the classics. I have Aventones, NS10s, ATCs. I use them regularly. But my favorite ones have been my ATCs, and I love them the most because they're passive. Crossovers are very natural. There's no DSP in the processing, so I feel like when there's a lot of digital processing, you lose a lot of this depth because there's just a lot of distortion happening that is inherent in the processing, but your brain's working to try to listen to this, and you can't hear it past a certain amount because there's just distortion happening. And that's present in a lot of products. That's present in PAs, it's present in, they put all these ones and zeros in there to try to fix things, and it's a method, and it works for certain things, but there is a certain depth is just the best word when you get purely analog in the circuitry where this front to back is just insane. And that's what I love about ATCs the most is I can hear things in the back. It's not just left to right, transient details, whatever. It's no, I can put a little bit of a spring verb on something and literally hear it just go back a little bit. And I'm like, that's crazy because I don't really hear that anywhere else. And that's what was the first thing that came in with these speakers is I turned them on, and it's like listening to songs I've been, it's the classic trope of I listen to songs I've heard my whole life and they sound crazy different now. And I'm like, no, it really was. I could hear depth and things that I didn't know that was actually back in the image. Even on my ATCs. This I feel like there's something happening with these ones that is a little different than ATCs that it I think puts it ahead because it's more than just depth. It's almost like the soundscape isn't just wide at the front and deep. It's more like wide at the front, wide at the back, deep. And then also transients feel a little different in this one, where I think there is a linear difference sometimes with transients of oh yeah, if I hear something snap up front versus I hear that in the back, especially when the mix is happening where there's multiple elements that are, in different ranges or different fields. And there's a transient that happens and there's a difference between the front one and the middle one. And you're trying to blend those or do whatever. The blend feels different on this because I feel like I hear more of the snap in the background, which there's an argument to be said of does anybody else ever gonna hear this? So it doesn't matter, but I think it does because at the end of the day, I can get a result that sounds magical hear taken anywhere else. And I'm like, oh yeah, it feels great. Maybe they don't get to appreciate some of the things that I was listening to, but I take this to some other monitors and I go, I can't hear a difference. That feel doesn't exist. So now those snaps just live together and they're blended, which is the final result that I wanted. But I couldn't have, I couldn't have picked that in those monitors. I can pick those in this one. For this live show particularly matters because when you have such a massive system happening, I'm not gonna get that much depth in an arena, but getting the transients to blend together, especially with SPL and volume, that it doesn't hurt, but it's still clear, but it can blend it. I don't have to like smash a snare on top of something to get it to cut through. I can be like, no, I can blend these really well. That way everything can stay one level, or a comparative level that's like not crazy loud, but it's all very clear. It's got punch, but it's not like crazy in the low mid. I can choose these details. I can get that deep. Without this, I don't know how I would do that. This particular tour and this particular job that I've done with this, it's changed me a little bit, and it's been a lot. And so my workflow and my perception of things and how I perceive things has changed anyways. And this has informed some of how that change has happened. Something that I always struggled to do, this is such a like small little niche thing, but one of the big rules I think in mixing is don't solo things, or don't work too much in solo, right? Don't just pick one little thing and then cut the crap out of it and then put it back in the mix and go, oh, that didn't work. No, it's because you want to hear everything as a mix. Such a baseline, like kind of an obvious thing to do as an engineer, but trust me that so many people have trouble like just not doing that, right? Because it's such an easy thing to do is to solo it up and what's wrong with it? Let me fix it. And it's like, but that's not how we should be working. And for a majority of my career, I'd known that and I just never really done that. And for some reason, these speakers, it's like it finally allowed me to get there. It finally allowed me to really, for the first time in my life, like stop doing that little, bad habit that we all have, that I have. I think it's because if I can actually hear everything together now, that I didn't have to feel the need to even need the solo. But one big change in my workflow is that I was just pressing play on the song, just pressing play and being like, let me listen and like what stands out. And it's so funny because I've heard engineers my entire life, like really good big engineers that are like, yeah, you just listen to the music and that's how you mix. And I'm like, yeah, I get that, but I've never really, really done that. And now I am actually doing it where I go, cool, let me loop verse 1, press play, and what stands out? I can hear it. I can hear, oh, there's 200 on the guitar. Cool, out. Well, the bass, it's like, it's boomy, but there's no string noise. Cool. 800, 1K, 1.6, like let's push that up. Like the snare snaps a little too hard. Sick, let's take that down a little bit. It's like I can hear relationships. I just never really truly got to hear, either didn't get to hear them or I just didn't understand. I don't know if my workflow's changed from just like experience or career standpoint or just time or just whatever, but like it's just having these speakers has changed my perception on how I'm listening. And so now my workflow really for this, in rehearsal especially, is I go, okay, they would play, because they program so many of the sounds and they change during the songs and everything like that, and I'm snapshotting individual parts because they're doing stuff like that. And mostly what I try to do is just volumes, but sometimes there's little EQ changes, it'll be very slight. I would literally just loop apart verse 1, then loop chorus, and then loop verse 2, and then loop chorus 2, loop the solo, loop whatever. And then loop the first half of the song and be like, does this now move? I'm thinking about it like I'm in a studio. Like, I'm like, how is this musicking? Like, how is it happening? These have changed my workflow completely because that's been such a giant change at the base level. It's like the foundational level for me. And I think I have to attribute it to the fact that I can hear so much more on this. That it allows me to do that. So that's massive change. Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was gonna say first, is how these are helping me out. It's funny, when we started it, our worry was, can it be done? I mean, it's been done. We're not the first people to like do something like this, but we're like, Can you
specify what this is?
Oh, so when we started this tour and mixing out of the room and being remote mixing only, the worry was like, is it gonna work? Are we gonna be able to gauge things correctly? Not even in like a defined sense of like, no, are we literally gonna have a show? Like, that was the worry with production was, is this gonna work out? Is this going to be listenable? Like, is everybody going to hate this, you know? And even within first rehearsals, we're all like, oh, this is slamming, you know, like, all right, we got this. But that's all we talked about for months leading up it was like this, we just had to get through the doorway. So the moment we got through it, we got through the first couple shows, we're like, okay, we proved, we got it, we're fine, you know, we did it. Then it started getting into details and nitpicking, which any engineer would do. So as the tour started and we kept going, it became about detail. A little bit of a side note. What takes a good engineer to a great engineer, or to, like, you know, top level? It's not some overall thing. It's the smallest things. It's these like small details. It's like, how do I get this like little bit of air? How do I get this little bit of detail? How do I like create this image that's crazy? How do I move with the audience with this? How do I create emotion and performance and stuff like that? And that becomes like this master level of like, when you hear somebody do something like that and if got it, you're like, I did not know this was possible, right? Like that kind of reaction. That's what we found was hard with this situation, is how do I gauge little things like that if I'm not in the room? How does that correspond? Because there's a mix happening. It's a mix. It's got all the things, you know, like everything's there. Nothing's exploding feedback. Nothing's, you know, it's all working. But how do I take that last 5%? And it seemed suddenly like we had this ceiling that was there that most people don't have to deal with, but we have to deal with, because I'm like, the perception is wrong. I'm not in there. So I can't gauge what this last 5% is. And so what is the best I can ever do? 95%? That's it? That's like max what we can do, and that sucks. So these speakers it was an accidental perfect harmony of situation, because I think having the depth and detail, and because we're using a new PA system out there that's very new, and it's L-Acoustics, called L2. And that has its own properties that are it's very high end. It's very, it has depth. It has a lot of things that are happening out there, and it's a whole different system. But moving to that already would have been a kick in the ass, right? But having this at the same time as that was like just a whole new way of thinking for all of us. But I'm grateful that I had these at the same time, because not understanding the depth and not understanding the sound field of like I have been with this would have been really difficult to try to guess what's happening out there without this. And so, yeah, the challenge for this tour has been these little details. It's like we walk out there and go, questions that my system tech and I go through are like, what's 180 feel like? Like, well, it's the bass. Is the low mid too heavy? And when we say too heavy, we're talking like a dB, 2 dB. We're like trying to sit in the pocket. We're trying to get them to like just sum together in like just the right way. Like we're down to that level of stuff. Like we're like, oh, is the vocal have a little bit too much 800 when he really pushes in? Reverb tails, like, is this one too long? Is this one too thick? Like, or the reverb on the snare at this point, we're like, is it just too long at 300? Like, do we get a little bit more snap on it? Is it shorter? Like, that's the type of detail that we're trying to get now. It's hard because I can listen to it in here and it sounds great. And when I walk out there, I go, that's not exactly it. This is what I want to change. And I can come in here and I can hear the change so easily. I can be like, oh, a little less of this. And then I can walk back out and go, okay, that was a good change, whatever. But detail corresponds both ways. I can hear everything that I have ever done on this tour. I can hear it in here with this. Like, it's never been like, I don't have that. Like, it's never come up in discussion. It's like, I can hear exactly what's happening. Whether it works or not is a question of that room, not a question of me in here. And that's the other part in terms of consistency is my room situation changes every day too. And that's why I carry all the baffles and soft goods and stuff like that, because I kind of just pick what I'm gonna do that day. I kind of just make it up. This is funny. I walk in a room, clap, I go, all right, let's see if I can fix this. And I put all this stuff up and I didn't fix shit. It just sounds like crap, right? And I'm like, okay, well, that was a failure. And then there's other rooms where I walk in, I clap, and I go, this is really nice. And I put up a few things and I go, this is a studio. This is gonna be great today, right? And then there's been a few rooms where I walk in, I go, there's no fixing this. I'm just not putting anything up. There's no point. I'm in a hospital. That was one time. It's like this massive, it's like cavernous thing. I was like, there's no fixing this. And so I just do the whole show in headphones and call it a day at that point. But
the Third Ear speakers, they help you overcome those problems.
Oh yeah. No, the speakers help me overcome some serious stuff. Yeah. I don't get a lot of blowback with these. I like these themselves, the speakers, like they don't wash. There's no lobage off the back really at all. The image and how it's coming forward is very centered, and my left to right movement on them is very nice. Like I don't get this crazy comb filtering or like basically where one takes over. It doesn't do that. It keeps very uniform, left to right, and of course I'm moving within a certain area. I'm not like bouncing off going somewhere else. I stay within my gear. And so it's nice to stay like that and to be able to tell what's happening. I do get blowback from the room sometimes, depending on where I am in the building. I'll get sub lobage that comes in. And the thing is that it's very out of time because it's propagating out there and then taking 40 milliseconds to come into here. And then I'm like hearing it way behind this. And that's something that I have to just learn every day and deal with when I just listen and just be like, okay. That's the first thing I do. When I set this all up, I will just plug my phone in and listen to music for 20, 30 minutes and just be like, how is it? It's my version of tuning now, It's not so much I come in here. I don't put an EQ on this. I haven't once. I don't do that. I just let them stay the way they are because I feel like at this point I've learned what they sound like. So why would I be changing that? I want to know what's happened, like what this difference is. And if I put these up in one room and it's heavy at 100, I go, okay, it's heavy at 100 today. It's like, I'm not going to fix that and then act like it's normal. Like I just know. And I can account for that. So if I hear something heavy at 100, I'll go, okay, hold on. Like that might not be this today. But I think it was just an arbitrary method to try to start putting EQs out there and in here and trying to chase each other. I think it's just that's going to have inverse relationships there of like this is not going to work out. Like we're going to be chasing each other and that's it. There's no actual like standardized thing there. So I don't put EQ in here. He does his own thing. My system tech will do his own thing out there and we'll get to a uniform place every day on his end, something that's baseline for him. I have to rely on this to be consistent. I have to rely on this to be the same. And I'm like depending on that because I can't make massive decisions out there and start tanking mid-range everywhere because I'm like, oh, well, today sounds heavy to mid-range, so down. And I'm like, that sucks. I just killed the whole show. So yeah, it becomes a big deal. Yeah. If someone said we can't bring these, we can't do anything right now, I legitimately would just be like, cool, I'll just put headphones on. Or no, I'll just do headphones the rest of the tour. There's no point. I know I can't fix all the problems I run into without these. Like these are the best things that I've ever used, and I still have issues like that I have to solve. And this is the best things I've ever used. Imagine if I'm not using these and I still have to solve it. I'm like, no, I don't want to take 4 steps back. Like I'm good. I'll just put headphones on and deal with it. And I will never listen. I just will never deal with these things ever. Because I can just negate all those problems and just be gone with it. Of course, headphones have issues. There's binaural things and things you can't tell. But at least that's consistent. And I can listen to the same thing every day because it's just right here in the driver's own move. If I can't solve my issues with the tools, the best tools that I have, then I'm not doing it. There's no point. I wouldn't choose any other. Literally wouldn't. It's not worth it. Not worth the time to try to figure that out.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you would consider these an essential tool at this point?
Oh, my console, this is, in my opinion, the best console I can use for this. I have so much outboard and rack stuff, but I've only brought this stuff because I consider this to be the best like combination of what I can possibly do with this, and I've been really happy with it. I use things that are the most stable or that have the most ability, and so when it comes to this situation of listening, this is the best thing I can think of. And like I said, the very, very beginning it was accident. I was like, yeah, sure, I'll try these things out. And then within 30 minutes of that first rehearsal, I was like, this is crazy. Like this is wild. What am I doing? And I've had my favorite monitors for a long time. And I think those are very high-end monitors. And I've listened to them for a long time and I love them. And within 30 minutes listening to this, I was like, okay, this is sick. This is really, really cool. So yeah, no, these are the best. All this, in my opinion right now, is the best tools that I can use. No going back.